In 1986, when Jack Canfield attended a party that deeply impacted the lives of all of who attended that year. It is a Come As You Are in 1991 party held on the Queen Mary on Long Beach in California. Those of them who attended to the Envision were to be like they were in 1999. In other words, they were to act as if they'd achieved what they'd achieved and they were successful. And in 1986, 5 years later, they'd achieved what they wanted. So they'd taken props to demonstrate about their dream that had already come true, their books, they'd pretended they'd written books, awards they'd earned, large paychecks they'd received. They were to spend the evening bragging about their accomplishments, talking about how happy and fulfilled they were, and discussing what they were going to do next. They were going to stay in character that entire night. When they arrived, they were met with 20 college students who actually had been hired to put on as adoring fans and paparazzi. Cameras flashed and fans screamed out their names, asked for their autographs. Now remember, at this point, it hadn't happened for them. This was 5 years before. Jack went as a best-selling author with several reviews and a #1 in New York Times bestseller to show people. A man who had came as a multimillionaire dressed as a beach bum. His vision was for retirement, and he spent the evening handing out real-life lottery tickets to everyone at the party. A woman brought a mock edition of the Times magazine with her face on the cover and winning an international award for making advances in the peace movement. A man who wanted to retire and spent his life as a sculptor showed up in a leather sculptor's apron with a hammer and a chisel and safety goggles and pictures of sculptures he had actually made. A man who wanted to become a successful stock trader spent the entire evening answering his cell phone, animatedly and commanding, buy 5,000 shares, sell 10,000 shares. He actually hired someone to phone him every 15 minutes to carry off this for the party, to act as if. A woman who was just embarking on her writing career and had yet to sell a book, arrived carrying mock-ups of 3 books she had written in the spirit of everyone, supporting everyone else's dream. People had told her that they'd seen her on Oprah and seen her on the Today Show. That woman was Dr. Susan Jeffers, who went on to write Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, one of the best-selling books in the world. And the same thing happened to Jack. He went on to write and compile and edit more than 200 books, including 11 #1 New York Times bestsellers. That party, where they maintained their future personas for over 4 hours, flooded their subconscious with powerful images of having achieved all their aspirations. These vivid experiences enthused them with the positive emotions generated by the events in the evening, strengthening their positive neural pathways in their brains, and in some cases that forged, in other cases it deepened their self-images of being super successful. And it worked. All those who attended the party, morning Craig, went on to realise their dreams and acted out that night as much and much more. So make a commitment to throw the Come As You Are and As You Will Be party for your closest friends and your company, your business associates, your graduate class, your mastermind group. Since this book was written and first published, this is the Success Principles. Many small companies and large corporations have built a Come As You Are party for the in-house training, conferences and sales meetings. So why not build yours? Think of the creative energy and awareness and support that you can release, and just send yourself that invitation. So here's Sergio's story. Sergio is a professor of robotics at one of the universities in Mexico. While attending his breakthrough session and training, he attended the first Come As You Are party. His story was, in the first 2 days of that seminar, he had set some goals that he wanted to achieve in his life. He wanted to be a guest speaker at a TED conference. He wanted to write a book on context-based learning, a new educational model he was developing. He wanted to take his wife to Greece. He wanted to own his own house at the lake. He wanted to start a tech museum. He wanted to develop a national program that would help youngsters develop self-confidence and self-purpose in themselves. All of these appeared to be distant dreams at that time. He lacked the money, the time and the experience. And he had even had to cancel his family's last scheduled vacation as a result. Regardless, he prepared for the come as you are party. He wanted to play the game full out. His wife helped him pick out some pictures of mock photos in an album and props for the show for his accomplishments he had achieved. Pictures of the Greek islands, pictures of Rome, a picture of his house by the lake. She even photoshopped a picture of him at a TED conference on stage. He was ready. He was a little nervous when he arrived, but approached a group of people he knew. One of her friends came dressed as an Olympics coach. She shared that she was coaching a league of minors that had got to the Olympics. Soon it was his turn. What have you been up to, they asked. Well, I came back from my TED Talk conference and I got a book on context-based learning published. Oh, and I took my family on a vacation. We went to Greece and Rome. And I thanked him for coming to stay at our lake house, which I described clearly. He described it in main house with 2 adjacent rooms full of bunk beds, one for the girls and one for the boys. The party went on for hours and he shared his accomplishments of the last 5 years and nearly 100 people. Eventually it was time for him to eat and slowly he began to leave the foyer and cross the line into the ballroom where the dinner was waiting for him. He really did not want to go. He felt comfortable in the future, but he was afraid. He didn't want to go back for that moment where he would cross that line. But it was time to go. Yet when he crossed the line, he was confused. Was this real? Was this imagination? I wasn't sure anymore, he said. A year and a half later, he was invited to speak at a TED conference in India. His topic, context-based learning. So learning through understanding. A couple of months later, he submitted a paper of context-based learning and learning through understanding to the conference on education and innovation and received the Best Paper Award. But that's not all. A friend of his from Greece invited him to start a non-profit organization for the better life of day in Mexico. His first conference was in Athens in June, and I needed to go to Athens to see what it was all about. With perfect timing, extra money came his way, so he invited his wife to go with him. Just as I was about to purchase plane tickets, his wife suggested, why not go to Rome via one of the Greek islands? Wow, everything I'd talked about, he said, came as you are party has actually happened. 3 years have passed since then. His national program to generate self-confidence, self-purpose in the youngsters is also now a reality. It's being taught and migrated to 33 campuses nationwide. He is now an international speaker and trainer, and yes, at the end of the seminar, we hold a come as you will be party. He's always happy to hear the seminar participants play out their dreams and become witnesses as dreams unfold into reality. Milton has opened his own recording studio. Gris has got her ranch. Miguel has started his catering business. It is truly magical. A couple of weeks later, he picked up a photo album of his wife had made for the very first Come As You Are party. As he looked through it, one particular picture stood out. It was the picture of his wife had composed of him on the stage with the TED logo. Side by side, it was a spitting image of the actual picture that someone took of him of the actual TED conference. It will become reality. If you think it, it will happen and you'll do it. You will work towards it as a natural result. And I'll see you tomorrow.